Alrighty, everyone. Yes, welcome back to another brand new edition of New Music Friday, where I give my thoughts and opinions on all the most notable country music releases from the last 2 weeks. It feels strange having such a quick turnaround between episodes since the previous one was delayed, but this one should be running right on time. It's a pretty stacked set list today to get through, but first, I have a quick announcement to make. I made a new Instagram account. In case you didn't hear, my other account got hacked last week. It was completely my fault. I walked into it like a blind man on a diving board. I tried to get it back but was unsuccessful, but none of that matters anymore. It's in the past. So you can follow my new account at the Overshore because the old domain was taken, and after all, I am the Overshore. That is me. New profile picture, new bio, completely disregard my old account, block it if you want. They've just turned it into some weird fake crypto site, but yeah. The link is in the description. If you want to drop a follow, we'd love to have you on board. It's where I post questionnaires and polls for future videos. I sometimes give hints of future videos. You can see when videos are going up. So if you want to take part in any of that, as well as just follow along with how my life's going, you can follow at the Overshore. There's also a link in the description that will take you right there. A recent study actually found that those who follow my new Instagram account are 10 times happier and cooler than those who don't. I don't know if that's any sort of incentive, but I mean, at least me speaking, I like to be happy and cool. I'm rambling now. This is stupid. New account, give it a follow. I'm now going to get into what you guys are actually here for. My thoughts on all the new music. As I said, a fair amount of new music to get through. A lot of good music as well, unlike last episode where I felt like I was just hating on everything. Timestamps are all down below in the description. If you just want to hop around to some specific points, feel free. And yeah, I think it's about time we jump in with the thumbs down category. Songs I do not like, songs I disapprove of. And kicking us off is Niko Moon and his new one, Easy Tonight.
This whole bar is paradise.
I don't have many thoughts on this new Niko Moon cut, mostly because there's nothing to talk about. It's just another subpar, trappy pop country beat with subpar lyrics and subpar delivery. Everything about this song is just so dull. The instrumental sounds like they Googled country type beat and just grabbed the first result. It's a super basic, dry pop beat with some steel and whistling that sounds like a garage band loop. The lyrics hardly qualify as lyrics. It's one of those songs that as I read the words, I'm almost impressed at how little it manages to say. It's so bland, so bare bones nothingness that it almost feels intentional. Like surely you were trying to make it this bad. And then of course it's a Niko Moon song, so there's just as little going on sonically. Delivery-wise, it's like Niko's trying to sound sexy by leaning in all close to the mic and sounding all nonchalant. But it's just corny. It's such a cheap attempt at anything. I don't even know what it's trying to be. All I know is it's getting a big fat thumbs down from me. Next up, I've got the new Little Big Town track, Hell Yeah.
Hell yeah, I go get drunk on Friday.
Little Big Town has always been pretty hit or miss in my opinion, and this is just another miss. It's not that the song is comedically or emphatically bad like the Niko Moon song, it's just really forgettable and uneventful. Nothing being offered really grabs my attention at all. There's no catchy hook, the chorus feels kind of just bleh. Everything sort of melts together into nothing. There's no real punch to the instrumental, and I'm also just not a big fan of the lyrical concept either. Little Big Town isn't the first act to try and bend the phrase hell something and try to stretch an entire song out of it. It's just not very compelling. The other one that comes right to mind would be Blake Shelton's Hell Right, but I don't think very highly of that song either. So yeah. Other than that, my problem isn't with a particular aspect. My problem more lies within the lack of significant, memorable, or anything. And then lastly, for the thumbs down category, it's gotta be the new Ingrid Andress track, Good Person. I really don't know what Ingrid and her team were going for on this song. The song is basically Ingrid asking this good person how they do it. How do you remain so positive and calm and whatnot? Which as a concept could breed an interesting song, but then you've got lines asking someone if they lose it when someone takes their parking spot, and it's just like, man, what's going on? Because the track is set in this heavy, emotional environment, but then you drop childish, dumb lines like that, and it just interrupts any momentum the song was gaining, which leads me to the production of the song. All throughout the track, from front to back, Ingrid's vocals are doubled and transposed down, which gives this haunting, demon-like tone, which is an effect people use and find a lot of success with in a lot of pop music, but on this track, she just overuses it really badly because it is everywhere. You can't get away from it. So rather than adding depth or being a cool effect here or there, it's just annoying. That's all I have to say on this one. I don't really know what they were trying to do, but it didn't come together that well. And with that, we can move on to the decent category. Songs I think are good, not great, but would still recommend you try out for yourself. They're decent, and starting it off is the new Heath Sanders track with Justin Moore, Raised on Red. On the whole, I'm pretty indifferent towards this song. It's just another Southern pride anthem with a blaring rock chorus, enormous drum hits, effectively serving as another discount version of Blake Shelton's God's Country. As time has gone on, I feel like God's Country has had quite the ripple effect. When it first came out, it was this super out in left field dark cut that felt eerily open and large. It really just stood out from the crowd, especially amongst the mainstream. But now that seems to be like the go-to style in making a Southern pride tune. And although it's not necessarily a bad formula, I really like God's Country, I'm yet to hear a song in that vein I would prefer to God's Country. I don't know, that thought just kind of came out of nowhere. The song itself, as I was mentioning, lyrically it's nothing crazy. It's just another This Is How I Grew Up, with the same references to Little White Chapels, Red Clay, Rednecks, Chevrolets. Again, it's not that I actively like or dislike it. At the end of the day, the song is sort of just there in my opinion. It's decent. Next up is one I was really looking forward to. It's the brand new single from Kelsea Ballerini, Heart First. Kelsey's 2020 album, Kelsea, really left me wanting more. I enjoyed that album quite a bit. It was released during the original lockdown, and it was one of my go-to albums throughout that time, because while the record at times was a little too dressed up, I thought songs like Homecoming Queen, Half of My Hometown, LA, showed a real interesting side to Kelsea, an interesting, honest perspective that I wanted to hear more of. So now 2 years removed, I'm really hoping this new single is leading into something bigger. I've heard some buzz that it is going to be an album soon. But as for the song specifically, I think it's alright. Musically, it's a very bright pop country song with some fun bouncy vocals. Lyrically, I think it is a cute idea jumping into a relationship heart first. Do I think it's the most interesting song of all time? No. It's a cute, bouncy, feel-good song. What has me most excited is the thought of a new album, because I wouldn't expect something like LA to be a lead single, but I'm expecting something like that to appear somewhere on the record, and that's what I'm looking forward to most. But Heart First as a song, it's alright. Gonna try and pick up the pace here so this video doesn't wind up being half an hour long, but closing out the decent category today is the latest pre-release from the newly announced Carrie Underwood album, the title track, Denim and Rhinestones. This track sees Carrie try her hand at some 80s pop sounds with some smooth chorus guitars, underlying synth pads, all being hammered home by some thick drums. Honestly, I think it comes together quite nicely, no pun intended. I definitely prefer this new one over Ghost Story from a few weeks back, but I'm still just not that invested in this new record. It seems like Carrie is much more interested in going for these broad, catchy pop tunes, which if that's what she wants to go for, then she can do her thing. It's not like the music is bad. As I said, I think this new one glosses over pretty well. It's just not scratching that itch for me personally. And now we can move on to what is by far the beefiest section of today's video, the thumbs up category. Songs I like, songs I would encourage you try out, songs I would give a thumbs up. There's a lot of them, so I'm going to power through here. First up is the surprise teaser from Zach Bryan, Late July.
Heading down the road, I guess.
So far throughout this American Heartbreak era we're currently in the build-up to, the running theme is that it's Zach's transitional album into a professional studio environment, and through songs like From Austin and Highway Boys, we began getting a proper taste of what it was going to sound like. But then out of nowhere, Zach announced and dropped Late July, which goes straight back to his roots. It was recorded in Pittsburgh with one microphone, Zach, a guitar, and his buddies, just like his earlier stuff, and honestly, it might be my favorite of the teasers so far. Now, that's no shade to the other two tracks. I've really enjoyed them as well and spoken very positively, but there's something uniquely powerful and addictive about an unpolished, imperfect Zach Bryan song. You just seem to feel the lyrics a little more, they dig a little deeper, and I guess amidst the lead up to this new album, to hear a retro Zach Bryan song caught me off guard, but was also surprisingly refreshing. I think the song's catchy as hell. It's another sad boy anthem I think anyone can get on board with, and it gets a big thumbs up from me. Next up is the new Kolby Cooper song, Breaking News. I'm still pretty new to Kolby Cooper. I haven't given much of his music a listen. Granted, I've heard the essentials like 2 words, but I'm really digging this new one. Sonically, it's that brand of emo country rock people like Co Wetzel have popularized as of late, and I think Kolby sounds great on it. His voice brings a lot of grit, but he also has a very earnest delivery style that I think helps with these more conversational songs. The song is about this girl who dumped Kolby and is now beginning to try and crawl back, but he's with someone else now, and he's basically saying, look, you're the reason we ended. You knew I found someone. Don't go acting like this is breaking news. It's nothing to write home about, but I do think it's a well-executed country rock song that I found myself enjoying quite a bit. Then I've got the latest Warren Zeiders track, Wild Horse.
She rolls like the thunder, flies like...
When I first found Warren a little over a year ago, I was really high on him. I thought he had a lot of potential, but as of late, it seemed like he grew a little stagnant, sort of content to cruise with one trick up his sleeve, that trick obviously being his voice. And as a result, I sort of got turned off to him a little bit, but I must say, I really like this new one, Wild Horse. It's a super simple, emotional piano ballad, which right away felt like a nice change of pace for Warren. Just to hear him in a more vulnerable state as opposed to one of anger was really refreshing to hear. There are times like the chorus where I wish he kept his vocals a little more reserved, a little more gentle, but I still think it's great, and I will take this over Burn It Down every day of the week. But also, before I move on, I need to mention how the piano part sounds identical to Sunday Drive by Brett Eldredge. I would say comment if you hear it, but I think it's pretty hard not to. Following that, I've got the new group effort from Trey Lewis and Alex Maxwell, Good to Know People.
'Cause it's a crazy world we live.
Like many of you, the extent of my knowledge surrounding Trey Lewis goes as far as Dick Down in Dallas, which remains one of the most jarring but hilarious songs in recent memory. Due to the nature of that song, it made me giggle, but I never went back and dove into Trey's discography at all. But when Friday rolled around, I was just going through some new music playlists, and this one really just struck a chord with me. It's such a friendly, feel-good tune. The message is super simple but charming. It's good to know some good to know people, and how not everybody gives a damn about you, but it's good to know people that do. It's paired with a super breezy instrumental, some brush percussion, nice firm pianos, and a lot of harmonies. The song is just so light on its feet, and I couldn't help but fall in love with it after the first listen. Definitely check this one out if you haven't already. Moving on, the second last track of today's episode comes from Clayton Mullen. It's his new one, Love Goes.
He don't remember a name.
I adore this song. I had never heard of Clayton Mullen. I mean, the dude only has 3 songs out, and the first one was released in February of this year. But he was really buzzing in the Discord when this song dropped, so I checked it out, and oh my word, is this song ever gorgeous. It's a super simple acoustic ballad with some accompanying mandolin, but the emphasis is all on the delivery and the lyrics. Love Goes tells 2 separate stories about 2 people who are both struggling in their heartache. The first verse is about a girl who's dealing with some struggles we aren't let in on, but she hasn't talked with her dad in 3 weeks, and she just spends her nights at the bar, then going off and hooking up with guys in various attempts to distract herself from whatever problems are lingering within. The second story is about a boy in high school who had his heart broken by a girl, and he just cannot get over it. No matter who's come his way over the years since, he can't fall out of love with this girl, and it basically just smothers him. The song is so pretty, it's so delicate, Clayton's voice is so gentle and crisp. Everything about this song is incredible. It's my favorite release from these last 2 weeks for sure. Easily one of the best songs I've heard so far in 2022. If there's one song I want you to check out from this video, it is Love Goes by Clayton Mullen. And with that, we can move on to the final new release in today's video. For obvious reasons, I saved it to last. It is without a doubt the biggest release of these last 2 weeks, and I am of course talking about Don't Think Jesus by Morgan Wallen. Don't Think Jesus is one myself, and I think a lot of Morgan fans have been eagerly waiting for, but to be honest, I wasn't sure if he was ever going to end up releasing it. I wasn't sure how he planned to officially return. I wasn't sure when he planned to officially return, but the stars sort of aligned for this release to happen, and boy am I glad it did. The song was written by Chase McGill, Jesse Alexander, and Mark Holman, and they wrote it for Morgan. The boy depicted in the song is Morgan, which I think makes it that much more interesting to hear Morgan sing it because he's basically narrating his career from a third person's point of view, going back to the beginning of his career and then following his ascent to be this big star, but all the while sort of losing himself in the process, slowly abandoning his religious morals as he became more and more consumed by celebrity life, but all the while he keeps getting these subtle reminders saying, hey, I don't think this is how Jesus would do it. You're not living up to the standard you should be. The chorus is this really powerful moment where Morgan is basically condemning himself, saying if he was Jesus, he'd say to hell with you, he'd shame himself, blame himself, make himself pay for all his mistakes, but he knows that's not what Jesus does. The production here is spot on as far as I'm concerned. I really like when Morgan goes for a more spacious, rustic sound. We got that on his rendition of Cover Me Up, even Quittin' Time. It really just sets the stage for Morgan's killer voice to take over, just like it does on Don't Think Jesus. It's got some nice steel in the transitions. I love that the percussion stays out of the way for the first bit, but when it arrives, it really enhances the atmosphere. It's by no means subtle, it's very big, but it remains distant, and it really opens the mix wide and lets in a lot of air. I think my only complaint is I feel like sometimes it moves too fast between verses and choruses or from verse to verse. I feel like there's not enough time in the transition to breathe. It kind of just goes too fast. But outside of that, I think this could easily age to be Morgan's best song. I'm super glad he chose to release it, and especially releasing it on Good Friday just makes so much sense. I can just imagine the Marin stands punching the air right now, especially when they hear that last verse about casting the first stone, but I'm not going to push any more buttons. But it is hard to not throw a few pokes in at both sides when the opportunity presents itself. But oh well. Anyways, that is all I've got for you guys today. There was a lot of music to go through, a lot of big names as well, but hopefully this video doesn't end up being too long. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like. It really does help the channel out. If you're new and like what you see, maybe consider subscribing for more country music content. Links to my new Instagram account, the Discord server, and podcast will all be down below in the description. Be sure to check all of those out. And until next time, I hope y'all have a great day.